Thanks, Face, for the wonderful introduction. It's good to be here with everyone. Um, it's fun to see some bright minders. So I run a meditation app, and it's also a community. We do like a lot of online sits. So it's fun to see a lot of your names on the call, and it's fun to, I don't know, mix communities. So I'm also excited to meet some of the Sangha Live folks and sit with you guys. Um, yeah. Uh, So the first thing I'd like to do is just give a little background, just a little intro to what we're going to be exploring today. Um, and then we'll do a guidance, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And then we'll kind of go from there. We probably will do another guidance and maybe another Q&A. We'll just kind of see how the timing unfolds. Um, so yeah, we'll start with just a little intro. So what we're going to explore today is a practice that's taught by Shodo Harada Roshi, who's a um, Roshi, an abbot of a monastery in Japan, Sogenji. Hi, Lisa. And he's the real deal. He's like probably in his 90s and very, very wonderful teacher. Um, I haven't studied directly with him, but some of my teachers have studied with him, so I've learned this technique indirectly. The basic idea is you extend the out breath. As a way of kind of slowing your whole body down physiologically and settling the mind. This is a way to develop concentration, especially at the beginning of a sit, at the beginning of a day of practice, at the beginning of a retreat, kind of hit the ground running. And my experience of this practice is it's kind of like you could imagine if you're driving a car and you're going like 60 miles an hour, you all of a sudden throw the car into first gear. You just go, the whole car would just slow down. You just can't go very fast in first gear, right? So, in a similar way, your mind and body can't go very fast if you slow the breath. If you slow the breath, it's like putting your nervous system in first gear. And no matter how stressed out you are, no matter how messed up your mind and body is, it's amazing to see how the mind and body settle. Um, and so, uh, you may this may ring a bell for some folks. What we're this is related to ujjayi pranayama in yogic traditions. So you may have done ujjayi breathing in like yoga classes. The classic metaphor is like you um, imagine that a mirror is right in front of your mouth and you try to fog up the mirror. So you actually kind of like aspirate and make a sound, like you're saying the letter H almost, like like that. Um, in Ujjayi breathing, I think you extend both the in breath and the out breath. In this practice, you just extend the out breath. So it's not exactly the same as Ujjayi breathing, but I just want to acknowledge that it's related to Ujjayi breathing in case that's a practice that you've done before. And I think that this technique works really well. I practice it every day and I have been doing it for a decade. It's just like my default way to begin a meditation practice because like we all know it's hard to get concentrated, right? You sit down and sometimes it can take a half an hour to settle the mind. I find that within 10 and especially 20 minutes of doing this practice, I'm like, boom, settled very deep into concentration. So it's just a very efficient way, at least for me, to drop into concentration. And I'm excited to share that with y'all. So with that, I think let's just jump into the first guidance and let's learn by experience and by kind of diving into it. So this first guidance will be for about 30 minutes. So yeah, we'll end on like 40 minutes on the hour. I'll ring a bell at the beginning and end. But just letting you know it'll be about 30 minutes. Um, all right, enjoy. We'll begin by establishing proper meditation posture. Sitting is good because you're both alert and relaxed. Though you can lay down or stand if you need to for whatever reason. Assuming you're sitting, let the legs relax. They don't have to bear weight like they usually do. So enjoy that. Let them completely relax. And move your attention to the pelvis. Let your pelvis, your hips be heavy, rooted, anchored to the ground below. Allow your spine to be tall and straight. Relax the belly. Relax the arms and hands. Lengthen the neck. You can imagine there's a string pulling right where your spine meets the skull. Right at that point, there's a little string pulling up. Lengthen the neck. Tuck in the chin just a little, and relax the face. Taking a moment to just be aware of the whole posture all at once. We have kind of a heavy downward pull in the hips and the legs. They're sinking down. And we have an upward tug. In general, we're generalizing a little bit, but there's a straightness, a tallness, an upwardness to the spine and neck and upper body, and a sinking in the lower body. So in a way, our body is kind of being pulled in two different directions. In a way, this represents being alert and relaxed. It's all right here in the posture. We'll begin by bringing our attention to the breath. In general, we might feel the breath in three places. You might feel the breath coming in your nose or mouth. You might feel it in your chest, maybe in your belly too. So just notice the breath in any of these three places. No need to change the breath in any way at this point. Just breathe naturally and notice the sensations associated with breathing. Good. Now we'll begin to manipulate the breath, at least subtly. If you're not already doing so, begin to breathe more into the belly. If you breathe normally, usually your chest expands to allow space for the air. It turns out that you can also make space for the air by making your belly big, so kind of puffing out your belly. So as you breathe in, your chest can actually remain at about the same volume and puff your belly out. What happens is the lungs actually expand down into your diaphragm. It's a different way of breathing. You do need to expand and contract some part of your body as you breathe. Usually the chest does that. Right now we're intentionally trying to make more of the movement happen in the abdomen, in your belly. So as you breathe, intentionally move the belly out and in, and notice how you can breathe in that way. Now we'll begin extending the out breath. So the idea is to extend the amount of time that you spend breathing out for each breath. Usually when we breathe, our out breath is like 2 seconds. It's not long. So we're going to intentionally try to make that longer. The way to do that is you got to like kind of slow it down. So you breathe less air out per second. That allows you to do it for a little longer. And related to that is this way of aspirating the breath, where you actually kind of constrict the throat in a way that lets less air out, and it kind of makes a sound. Sounds like the letter H. And like I said, a common metaphor is pretend that your mouth is in front of a mirror and you're trying to fog up the mirror. So you'll make a noise, it's audible. It'll sound something like kind of like that. So play with that. Play with extending that breath. You don't have to do it for super long. Just experiment with making a sound as you breathe out, trying to slow it down a little bit, and see what that's like. You can do this while breathing through your nose or your mouth. Either way, you can kind of make a sound, although I would recommend doing it breathing out of your mouth to begin with. It makes the whole process a little more front and center. So I'd suggest breathing out of the mouth, making a little sound, making a little slowing down the breath. Also, if you get like you need some oxygen or you feel uncomfortable, it's fine. Just like take a little break and go back to breathing normally. And then, try to extend the out breath again, but there's no need to make yourself feel uncomfortable or like you're going to pass out. Take care of yourself. After extending the out breath, when it comes time to breathe in, uh, you can just kind of let it happen naturally. There's no manipulation. So often after breathing out for an extended period, the body naturally kind of breathes in, gets a bunch of air you don't really need to try. Um, so that's the instruction. You intentionally extend the out breath for a while. When it comes time to breathe in, you kind of just let go of intention, let the body breathe in. Usually it happens pretty quickly. You can intentionally breathe in quickly if you want. It kind of helps to feel like you're getting enough oxygen if you want, but default is to let yourself breathe in naturally, which is often quickly, and then go back to intentionally extending the out breath. And as you breathe in, we're continuing to breathe into the belly. So I guess there is some intention in the in-breath. So let your body breathe in, but make sure you're breathing into your belly. Susan, can you mute yourself? / Faith, could you mute Susan? Good. And as we extend the out breath, we breathe in this specific way. You can focus on the breath. You can focus on physical body sensations associated with breathing. You can also expand your awareness a bit to focus on the whole body all at once. So you can focus on everything from like your toes to the top of your head. It's up to you. So continue to extend the out breath. Let the in breath happen naturally. Breathe into the belly. And as you do that, remain focused on the breath or the whole body. As you get to the end of the out breath, see if you can keep going for even just a few more seconds. There's usually a little bit of air at the very end, so try to just squeeze out every last drop. Try to go even 3 or 4 seconds longer than you think you can. And then let yourself breathe in. To be clear, this absolutely requires substantial effort, muscle tension, engagement, especially of the core. This is not a passive practice. This is a very attentive, effortful, intentional practice that's very engages your body, not just the mind. That's part of what makes it work. You're using your body in a way that slows the mind. So use your core, use your muscles, extend the out breath even a few seconds longer. And as you do all this, remain focused on breath sensations or your whole body all at once. Good. And for the last minute or so, you can just drop the extended out breath, go back to breathing normally, to natural rhythm, natural pace. No need to effort in any way. And remain focused on either the breath or body, but breathe normally. Good work, folks. So now's an opportunity for Q&A. If you have a question or a practice report, feel free to raise your hand. We can chat in real time. You can also drop a question or practice report in the chat, and I can talk about it in that way too. Looks like Leslie has a question, so I think you can unmute yourself, Leslie, and we can chit
Yeah,
chat.
hi. It was just a reflection.
Yeah.
I went through so many different changes during that set. It was just amazing. I mean, um, from dry mouth to over salivating mouth to dizziness, fleeting dizziness to fleeting pain, very quick little pains like between my eyes. I guess having to do with blood pressure or something. I don't know. It was just the most changing situation that I've had in a long time. It was very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, do you think that it sounds like there was a lot going on. So it sounds like that's more so than when you have practiced other techniques,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And also yawning. I am not tired. And I've already had a 45-minute sit this morning. I'm fine for sitting, but I felt 3 or 4 times I felt I needed to yawn.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, yawning specifically, um, I think has probably a pretty complicated physiology, but one of the reasons that we yawn is because we don't have enough oxygen. Um, so that could be part of what's going on is the extended out breath. Um, I mean, to be clear, part of what we're doing is uh, uh, kind of depriving our body of oxygen. It only lasts for a short period of time. There's
Yeah,
obviously no long-term consequences, but physiologically that can create a need to yawn. So I guess what I would just say is, practically speaking, um, if you feel the need to yawn, do so, and it's fine. And maybe like breathe normally for a little bit, and like take some really good deep in breaths um, before going back to the practice. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, in terms of the other changes that you reflected on, I'm not sure if it could be that the technique was leading to a bit more clarity, um, and so you maybe like noticed all these shifts more so than you might otherwise, or maybe it was causing it. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
it sounds like it was interesting for you, which is good. You know, this practice is uh, it can be an interesting adventure in the
Yeah,
mind and the body, and it sounds like it was for you. So
yeah, it
that's
was
great.
very interesting. I thank you so much.
You're welcome. Keep up the good work. Um, Next we have Charles. I think you can unmute yourself, Charles.
Yeah. Two questions.
Uh-huh.
One, how does this differ from box breathing, where you take an in breath, count to four, hold it, count to four, breathe out, count to four, then count to four before you breathe in again? How does that differ, and what are the benefits, if any?
Um, well, there's certainly some similarities, uh, but there are some differences too. So, uh, similarities are that you're controlling the breath in some way, right? That's the case in both box breathing and also this extended out breath. The difference is that, at least in terms of the basic instructions, uh, in this exercise, your out breath usually lasts far longer than 4 seconds. So you're extending it as long as possible. And then there's no delay in between the end of the out breath and the beginning of the in breath. You just let that transition happen immediately. And then the in breath happens completely naturally. There's no manipulation of the in breath. So, just in terms of like the practical basic instructions, there are some, just in the timing of how we're manipulating, if we're manipulating, there's some kind of surface level differences. And does that make sense?
Well, it does. I mean, yes, that's true that you point out the differences in what you're doing, but what is the difference in effect, if any?
So that um, is a more complicated question. I would say that they're both excellent breathing exercises. It's not like I'm proposing something that's better than box breathing. This is just another option. Um, and I guess I can talk to, and it's I think maybe most importantly, it's going to be, there's no answer for everyone. Different people have different preferences, experiences of different techniques, and that's fine. From my experience, um, the long extension of the out breath uh, is important. As I was saying, kind of in the introductory talk, um, the long extension of the out breath really it's often slows down your heartbeat. It's directly connected to your brainstem, and so there's more of a slowing down of your nervous system uh, in the extended out breath than in the box breathing. It's probably just like slowing down the nervous system more so. And um, so yeah, I don't know if you were here for the beginning talk, but like the metaphor that I often use is like putting the car in first gear. If you're going 60
Yeah.
miles an hour and you throw the car in first gear, it just like the car can't go very fast. And so with the extended out breath, you're really really slowing it down. To be so, one thing I haven't mentioned is the basic goal of the practice. It's pretty hard to hit. It takes quite a bit of practice to get there, but a rough goal is to extend each out breath for a full minute. So for one whole minute, that's 60 seconds. Um, so you might try to like watch a clock or something during the next guidance that we do. It's hard. It's very hard. You have to slow it down very, very slow. You have to like breathe out very slowly. You only let out a tiny little bit of air in order to make it last a full minute. um, and that's just like a very uh, substantial altering of the breath, which just really slows you down. And the other thing I would say is it's whenever we're trying to focus in meditation, we all get distracted. And part of the reason why we get distracted is there's a lot going on in our mind and body. Leslie was actually just mentioning a bunch of different things that were happening in her mind and body during the exercise, like pains and so during box breathing, there's lots of transitions. It's a lot quicker. So you're only on a certain part of the breath for like 4 seconds. Um, and that's, I mean, it's fine, but you're just like transitioning a lot between different things, which doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, relative to like incessant thoughts, it's not that much activity. But one thing that I think is really magical about the like 1 minute extended out breath is it's a very simple kind of, it just simplifies the stuff that's going on in your mind and body. You're not even changing what part of the breath you're at. You're just simply breathing out. You don't even have like, you're not even transitioning between breathing out and breathing in. It's a very um it's like a very silent background. If you're trying to read, there's like no noise in the background. It's like a little easier to focus on the reading. If you're trying to focus in meditation, having the kind of, you don't even have breath transitionings happen. You're just like just breathing out. and it's constant and that's happening, you can forget about that and you can just pour your attention into whatever you're focusing on. By the way, one thing we'll explore in the next guidance is like you can use this, you don't have to focus on the breath. You can extend the breath and focus on whatever you want, whether that's sounds or even a mantra, like literally anything. So I think that there's a potential advantage there in terms of simplifying what's going on in the mind and body for like a whole minute and kind of creating some calm, which you can then focus on. But I'll just repeat what I said before. It's not, if box breathing works for you, then that's great. This is just another option that you can explore. And maybe the most important answer for your question is like, notice what happens in your own experience. So just, it sounds like you understand the surface differences. So just do that. Practice box breathing for 15 minutes, and then practice this style of breathing for 15 minutes. And just notice what happens for you. What's different? Because there's definitely advantages and disadvantages, and different experiences going to happen for different people. So just get curious and playful and kind of see what happens.
Getting curious, very briefly, I'm intrigued by your background with the two raccoons. What is that all about? It looks like an atomic explosion as well. What is that all about?
They're my cat overlords. So they're
Your
cats,
what?
not raccoons. They're
Oh,
my cat overlords. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a cool image, and I think cats are cute, and lightning's cool. Atomic explosions are cool. Kind of helps keep me focused. It's mostly just a joke. I
okay.
think it's funny.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I just muted myself. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to ask Faith, is there anyone that has mentioned a question in the chat that we want to get to?
Yeah, sure. Let's do Elodie and then we can do them. Chat questions.
Great. That sounds good. That sounds good. So, Elodie, feel free to unmute yourself and we can chat.
Yes, thank you so much. It was really interesting. I have the question is, I felt that my body wanted to breathe more. So I wanted to extend also the breathing, the inhale, as well as the exhale. So I fell into my, suddenly the word, into my belly. So when I was exhaling, all the thing, my belly was going down, 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 really retrieving everything. And then he wanted to take more. Is it something that should happen, or it just happened like that?
I would, if you feel like you want to breathe in more, I would suggest doing that. It's okay if you intentionally like take some really good deep in breaths.
Okay.
Eventually what happens for most folks is you have to do that less and less. There's, I don't know, the body just like kind of gets used to breathing in enough. But I do this often. Exactly what's I'm suggesting is, I don't know, after breathing out for so long and so hard, sometimes it helps to just breathe in intentionally. And so I would say absolutely let your, it's fine if you just like tweak the instructions a little bit where you like intentionally breathe out for a really long time and then let yourself breathe in as much as happens naturally, and then intentionally, if you want, take even a few deep in breaths or just make that first in breath long and deep. Bring some intention into that in breath before switching back to the extended out breath.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was more like my body wanted it, not me wanted to breathe more, but something like asking for a little deeper, so I could go down deeper, something yeah. Okay, but definitely, thank you. I will look
You're
into
welcome.
that. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
yeah, let's do a comment.
Yeah. So Josh asks, how do you feel about Sila and the precepts as a support for concentration? Also, what are your views on transhumanism?
I think we should keep the questions focused to what we're exploring today specifically. That's kind of a broad question. I mean, I guess I could briefly respond that, like, of course, I think Sila is ethical behavior, right? Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's incredibly important. Yeah, the only way you're going to attain deep concentration is if you trust yourself. That's just a lot of people have figured that out. That's very clear. So the only way you trust yourself is if you act with integrity. So you might be able to fool yourself for a few years and whatever, but ultimately you have to act ethically and with integrity. Over time, you begin to trust yourself, and that unlocks deep concentration in your practice. So I think the relationship is very clear and very important and pretty direct. And I don't know what transhumanism is, or I can't remember the term that you mentioned, so I'm not sure I can comment on that.
Okay, let's leave that one there. Then Heidi just made a comment regarding dizziness. I'm wondering if practicing so much on the out breath means the in breath isn't given much time. There needs to be a balance. Small in breath would lead to feeling dizzy, I think. As a singer, I'm used to taking breath down into my abdomen and using it slowly. It does take practice. If a person is not used to using abdominal breathing, that is a whole body awakening in itself.
Yeah, that's great. You have experience with belly breathing in the context of singing. I'm also a singer, and singing is a really cool intersection with meditation and specifically breathing practices. So it's great that you can weave in your experience as a singer into meditation and breathing practices specifically. And I think what you point to relates to some of what we've talked about so far, in that you're right. If you intentionally extend the out breath, I think often for most people, you kind of need to like intentionally breathe in a bit more. I guess what I'm saying is just trust that if you practice this daily for a while, your body will kind of learn to just breathe in naturally, and you won't have to intentionally breathe in more. That usually happens. But in the meantime, to be absolutely clear, if you feel like you're not getting enough oxygen, intentionally breathe in more. So, and that can happen every time you breathe. So let's maybe switch back to the raised hands. So Mira, do you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes, thank you. That was exquisite. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I want to say that I've come to a lot of this. I've come to on my own through a long and brutal journey with Lyme disease, and also I learned Andrew Wiles. He has a 4-7-8 breathing, which emphasizes the out breath, and I didn't like everything he did, so I've almost exactly I've been doing what you've been doing, except for what you brought in today was the for me was the sound and the visualization of fogging up a mirror. That was really nice. That added to the parasympathetic what would you say, healing aspect of this breathing technique. So I am thrilled. So and to know that there's a practice like this, I'm going to be following you a bit. So just and I've learned through energy medicine practitioners that yawning and also just kind of tears running down your face, which I have, is energy moving in your body, and it was just wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing, Mira. Yeah, I don't know it sounds like you don't know this, but I have Lyme disease, and it is a big part of my spiritual path. I've had it for almost 20 years. And if it wasn't, I was interested in meditation, but if it wasn't for Lyme disease, I would not be dedicating my life to it probably.
I hear
Uh,
you.
yeah, it can be a really challenging and confusing and painful disease. So I hear you on that, and hang in there. And yeah, for those, I guess I'll just mention this, that I run a meditation app. It's called Bright Mind. If you like what we did today, feel free to download it. And part of what you get with Bright Mind is we do monthly 4-hour retreats. And I just led a whole 4-hour retreat specifically on this out breath practice, and you can access it in the app. And there's a lot more content. I go into way more depth of different ways of using the practice, and there's a lot of Q&A content that's uploaded to the app as well. So feel free to check that out. And for those who are Bright Minders that are on this call, I guess I would just also say that if you don't already know, Sangha Live hosts these by donation workshops every month, every week, right? Yeah, it's every week. So check out more of those. I looked at the list of teachers that they're hosting, and it's all really high caliber teachers. So I'm very well might be signing back on. It's really cool to like share resources between our communities.
Oh my God, you've made my day. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. So yeah, let's do at least a few more questions. Jane, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, thank you very much for today, and my heart goes out to Mira and you. Chronic illness is not an easy thing to live with. I want to say that I practice somatic practices, and the studies that have been done regarding breathing and what breathing techniques are the most effective to help us activate what's called the ventral vagal nerve, which is the nerve that helps us to become centered, grounded, more attuned to being able to engage with others and communicate. And the breathing technique that the Dr. Huberman studied against other breathing techniques was called sigh breathing, SIGH. And it's interesting because it's exactly what you said many people start with, but it's inhale twice and then a very long exhale. And it's inhale twice into your belly and really expand it. And rather than the mirror that you talk about, the technique that they recommend is a technique called VOO, VOO. And so when you're exhaling, you extend your exhale, saying gutturally. It's very vibrational. And why that's so important is that when you do the VOO exhale, when you're exhaling, it lengthens it. It also, the vibration activates the ventral vagal nerve. So rather than the breathing into the mirror, making it cloudy, you're really getting your internal organs kind of waking them up, I guess I'd say, to be relaxed and calm. So if you want, I can share how it goes. It's inhale, inhale. Ooh.
That's great. Yeah, I'm totally gonna give that a shot.
Right. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's cool to just like say a syllable rather than just breathe out.
It's specifically VOO for some reason that Peter Levine discovered, that makes a difference. And I highly recommend it. It's really powerful. And there are also movements that go with it that I teach. So there are many, the physiological side. Thank you, Lisa. But, there are many techniques and different things work for different people. Like, I don't like doing the different sinuses because I have terrible sinusitis. So I think the extension of the out breath can be so grounding and just letting go, releasing all the tensions throughout our body. So that's what I just wanted to add on.
That's wonderful.
So
thanks for
enjoy.
sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
We should all check that out. Thanks for sharing, Jane. I think we have time for just a few more. Faith, is there any questions in the comments that we can explore?
There's one more. Um, uh, no, hang on. I did see one. Let me just find it. I don't see. No.
That's fine. So,
Sorry.
oh, okay,
Question.
go.
How not to be holding the breath? How not to be holding the breath as the intention is to keep extending the out breath. I'm new to this particular practice. How not to hold the breath. Because when you're extending your out breath, how not stop yourself from holding your breath.
Well, in a way, you are holding your breath. You are not breathing out at a normal rate. So, in a way, it feels like you're holding your breath. But usually when we say holding your breath, we mean where you're not breathing out at all. In this practice, you just breathe out a little bit. So you reduce the amount of air that you're breathing out, which kind of feels like you're holding your breath. It's similar to that. But you're just breathing out just a little bit, leaking out a little bit of air. So yeah, I guess that's how I would respond to that. It has elements of holding your breath. It's okay if it feels like you're holding your breath. But then as you get to the end of it, you then obviously breathe in naturally. So hopefully that's helpful. So let's transition. We'll do one more guidance. I know we end in a few minutes. We'll do just one more guidance. And before we jump into that, I just want to mention again that these workshops are offered by donation. And just to give a little background, like in a Buddhist context, Dana is not giving a gift is not just about like supporting me or supporting Sangha Live, although that's certainly a part of it. It's really meant to be a practice of generosity for you. And so keep that in mind, that it's really a spiritual practice of cultivating, expressing generosity and noticing how that feels. Again, in the Buddhist context, donating can purify and transform the mind of the giver. So I would invite you to kind of cultivate that intention. And if you do give a donation, to keep that in mind and like say like, okay, yeah, I'm supporting Toby and Sangha.live because they're helping me and supporting me, but I'm also just like donating this from a place of open-heartedness and generosity and love. And notice if you have any taste of purification in the mind from doing that. I believe Faith just dropped the link to donate in the chat, so feel free to use that. And with that, we'll transition into a second guidance, which will probably go till the end. So we'll probably do like a 20-minute guidance or so. It's good to jump back in after talking about it for a little bit. And so enjoy. Begin with posture, let the legs relax. the pelvis be heavy and rooted. Allow the spine and neck to be tall and straight. Relax the belly. Relax the arms and hands. Relax the face. In this meditation, we'll explore pairing the extended out breath with an inventory of the body. So we'll focus on different parts of the body at the same time as extending the out breath. So to begin, we'll focus on the feet. So focus the mind on the feet. Try to clarify any body sensations that you notice in the feet. And as you do that, at the same time, we're going to do 2 extended out breaths. So in general, we're going to do 2 extended out breaths per body part. And we're going to move through the body like that. So I'll kind of guide this pretty closely, just follow along. Begin by taking a nice big deep in-breath. Begin extending the out-breath, focusing on the feet. Let yourself breathe in naturally. If you feel like you need more oxygen, feel free to intentionally really take in a bunch of air. And once again, begin an extended out breath, focusing on the feet. And then allow yourself to breathe in. Move to the lower leg, the calf and shin. As you focus on the lower leg, breathe out and extend the out breath. Let yourself breathe in naturally. Intentionally breathe in if you feel like you need oxygen. And begin another extended out breath as you focus on the lower legs. Let yourself breathe in. Now move to the upper leg, the thighs and hamstrings. As you focus there, do 2 extended out breaths. I'll kind of leave it to you, the specific timing, but extend the out breath twice as you focus on the upper leg. Good. Move on to the pelvis and hips. 2 extended out breaths while focusing there. Now focus on the back, both the upper and lower back. As you focus there, 2 extended out breaths. Now begin focusing on the whole body all at once. Continue to extend the out breath. And as I've said, if you need oxygen, feel free to intentionally breathe in as much as you want. Take a few deep normal breaths if you need to, but in general, veer toward extending the out breaths while focusing on the whole body all at once. Good. We're going to go back to inventorying the lower body once again. So focus on the feet, any and all body sensations in the feet, and extend the out breath twice. Let's move to the lower leg. Extend the out breath twice, and as you do so, pour your attention into the lower legs. move to the upper legs, 2 extended out breaths. And as you do that, focus on the upper legs. Go to the pelvis, 2 extended out breaths as you focus on the pelvis. Now the back, both upper and lower back, 2 extended out breaths. Now the whole body all at once. Continue to extend the out breath over and over. Good. Now let go of the extended out breath. Breathe at a natural pace. Continue to remain focused on the whole body all at once while breathing naturally. If you're a little distracted, you can begin the extended out breaths again. In general, that helps you get concentrated. If you're relatively settled, you can stay with the natural pacing. Just breathe naturally. You can kind of just go back and forth as needed at any time, all the while remaining focused on the whole body all at once. Good work, everyone. Really nice to sit with y'all. Yeah, so try to carry this into your day. You can extend the out breath even if you're waiting at the bus stop. It's always available to you. And yeah, just thanks again for an opportunity to practice coming together. And I think at this point, feel free to, you can unmute yourself and say goodbye or drop a goodbye in the chat. And yeah, we'll just say your goodbyes and then hang up. So thanks again, everyone.